So you know softboxes are the key to getting soft light for your videos and you've decided to buy one, but so many choices. Which one should you get? In this video, I'm going to answer the age-old question of, does softbox size really matter? Tell you which one you should probably get, and share a lighting tip that took me years to figure out that will make buying lights much easier for you moving forward. Let's get into it. Over the years, I've tried multiple styles of different softboxes and have ended up with these two. They are both Bowens mount softboxes for cob lights. I'll talk more about which lights to get in my next video, so be sure to follow along in case you're curious about that. But for these softboxes, one is a newer 36-inch softbox and the other is a smaller 22-inch newer softbox with a quick release feature. They are both newer not because I'm brand loyal, but because newer, if I'm saying it right, just has the best value I could find on Amazon. I compared this one to an Aperture one recently in a video, and honestly, the Aperture one was better, but not significantly. And at this stage in the game, I like saving money. Why spend double or triple for marginal gains when you don't have to? I would love to compare more softboxes, but right now, these are the only two that I own. However, I think the two I have represent the two best options out there for most people who need softboxes. So in this video, I'm going to test them side by side to see if you can spot the difference and figure out which is right for you. Before I jump into the tests, I'm going to use my Godox SL60W light for all the tests, and we'll be using it in the Rembrandt style, which I think looks good. It's to the side and up, casting flattering shadows on the face. I like this light more than my smaller Amaran because it's bigger and sturdier, which is nice sometimes, especially when you're attaching big softboxes. This light is still great years later. I'll do 3 different tests before revealing which is which. One with all the lights turned off in a black room, one with my background lights turned on, and one with the windows open, letting in some daylight. Then after the tests, I'll talk about the results. See if you can guess which one is which. Alright, so number 1 was the big old 36-inch softbox, and number 2 was the much smaller, more portable 22-inch softbox. And you know what? Before I did this test, I thought the big softbox was going to be way better than the little one, but after doing those tests, I've kind of changed my tune a bit. I've realized there's a few reasons when the smaller softbox is actually better. Here's when and why the smaller softbox can be better. Less light bleeds. Because the bigger softbox is farther away, you have to crank it up brighter since there's more diffusion going on. And with more power, it spills onto the background. So if you want that dramatic look, a smaller, dimmer softbox closer to the face can be better. However, since the smaller light with less diffusion runs way hotter, like a flashlight, you would need a light that goes nice and dim. I'll talk more about that in my next video. Spoiler alert, this Amaran one goes quite dim. Also, the portability and size of the smaller softbox is just so great. It's so convenient to move around, which is awesome as I do a lot of B-roll all over my house. Moving the big softbox around is a pain. I have to shrimp it through doorways if I want it out of the room. If you are streaming or something and need a smaller light that's nice and close, a softbox like this is probably the play. You won't have to have too much space behind your monitor and you can have it nice and close. The big one looks less harsh overall, and to the trained eye, it's probably more pleasing. And if you want that dark background spotlight look, you can still get it with a big softbox. You just need more distance behind you so the light doesn't bleed into the background. I will say that in a room that already has light in it, I thought the bigger softbox does look quite a bit nicer and softer. And really, I think this is how most people will use the light, to light the subject while keeping the room lighting the same. But it's tricky because if your key light doesn't go dim enough, the big softbox can easily spill onto the scene, which, depending on what you're doing, could mess things up. If you have the space and aren't buying a softbox to be portable, You can't go wrong with a big softbox. I keep mine in the same spot, and even though it's big, I mean, all lights nowadays come with remotes or apps which you can use to control them, so you don't have to do anything once it's set up. It just puts you farther away from the light itself and limits maybe where you can set up. And depending on the size of your room, that extra couple feet can be a huge difference. Now, the one important tip that I want to share is that whenever you watch lighting videos, it's important that you understand I'm shooting this on a full frame camera. The difference in sensor size matters when it comes to lighting. I made a video where I got really into this, and I'll share that below and at the end of this video if you want to learn more, because if you have an APS-C 4/3 1-inch sensor or just using your cell phone, your results will not look like mine. If you are planning on buying a light and a softbox like this and are using your cell phone in a dark room, look, your phone will not let in enough light for a small light like this to make the colors look good on its own. If you have a small sensor, you need to get the most amount of light you can afford to make your footage look good. It's the only way you can get good color. If you are shooting in poor lighting conditions with a small sensor and you don't know what you're doing, a small light and softbox will not fix your issue. You will need more light or a bigger sensor. Use daylight whenever you can. My tip is to be mindful of the camera reviewers when they recommend lights. For example, I will recommend this smaller softbox in a heartbeat if you have a full frame camera, or if you have an APS-C one and you know what you're doing, it should be fine with a nice wide open prime lens. But if you don't know what you're doing and you're using like a Sony ZV-E1 or a cell phone or something, then the small softbox might not be enough for you. So does softbox size really matter? It does. It changes the amount of light on the subject, and it changes how far away you will need to be from the light. There are reasons why you might want to be closer to your light or have less light spilling off you. The size of the room you're in makes a huge difference too, but there are also reasons you might need more light on your subject. Another thing to consider is the light you are using behind the softbox. My Godox, when it's cool, the minimum brightness it goes to is 10%. And when it warms up, it doesn't go below 25%. 25% on this Godox light is way too bright for this small softbox, which has less diffusion. So you would not want to use this softbox with that light. As I showed earlier, this Amran light goes down to 1%. Which is great. It allows you to find the sweet spot with this particular softbox. I can't tell you exactly what to buy. I don't know what camera you have, how big your room is, etc. I have made this giant softbox and old affordable light work for years now, and I will continue to use it because it's easy and it looks good. It worked with my APS-C camera and an f1.4 16mm lens, and now it works with my full frame setup. I love having the smaller softbox now though because it's so versatile. And since I do talking headshots and B-roll all over the house, it's so convenient for that. If I had to choose only one for my needs based on the fact that I have a full frame camera, I would probably get the smaller softbox. I did get the small Amran light for it to move around, and it's such a handy little setup. I love it. But if you have the space and will have lights on in the background, you really can't go wrong with a big old 36-inch and up softbox. I'd like to get a 48-inch one. It just makes skin look so good. I'm sorry if I made things more complicated for you. The point of this video is that there's more to it than just buy this or buy that. Every environment and camera lens combo is different, and that matters when you're buying gear. If you don't know what to get after watching this, hit me up in the comments and let's chat it out. Because each softbox offers a different look. So you need to figure out what look you want before you buy. Bigger is not always better. When my next video about how much light is enough, I'll link it here if you want to check that out. Otherwise, here's the video I made talking more about that tip, which took me years to learn. I show some good examples in the middle about just how important sensor size is and how much it changes how different lights look. Watch it if you don't quite understand what I'm talking about. All right, that's it for today. As always, thanks for watching. If you're able to support the channel with likes, comments, or subs, I'd really appreciate it. We'll see you next time on The Sad Studio.